This is when Simon should have a polar plunge.
Well, we should do this at the fundraiser next year.
Bet you can't jump in there and stay there for 5 minutes. Be forward, try it.
No, he doesn't.
Right, it's 5:30, it's called meeting the order. All's taken care of, I'm sure. Open meetings law has been taken care of.
No, it's recording.
Right. Approval of the agenda. Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve the minutes from the last meeting on July 13th. Have a motion
I'll second it.
and a second. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comment. Dean? No. Okay, staff reports.
All right, so we were present at the National Night Out last week. We had a table out there and, a little rain on the beginning, a little rain at the end, but, looked like they had a pretty good turnout there, so we were able to talk with quite a few people about Symons. That went pretty well. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're at the super registrations in the school district, so we're at a table there as well. Talking to parents there and, opening up our fall swim lesson schedule, so. Talk to people there as well. Other than that, don't you have anything, Kyle, to add?
Nope, it's just shutdown week, so we didn't fill the pool already today. Making some minor improvements. Thankfully, the pool company came out last week. There was no major issues, so. Just kind of.
You replaced the sauna heater, right?
Yep, so we're replacing the sauna heater and doing some tile work and just trying to place up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Foundation report.
The Simon Social, we were planning it to take place on November 7th and we pushed it back to sometime in the spring. There's just too many activities going on and too much planning and we just weren't going to be ready in time. We're getting our fall fundraiser organized. We're planning, last year we sent out letters to all the members. This year we're planning to expand that to every property owner in the county. To try and solicit funds, you know, Symons is, based on the surveys we've seen, is a really popular entity within the county, so we want to try and monetize that support somehow. So we'll just give people the opportunity to donate and go from there. Got some technical issues to figure out with getting all the addresses put together, but we'll manage that. So.
Okay. On to item number 9, HVAC needs.
All right, so this is our number 1B. This was first, HVAC replacement was first recommended by these back in 2020. So it's been a request, ongoing request from us for the last 6 years. It's got pretty bad last year, so we made a pretty strong pitch last year to both the city and the county administrators. The city administrator at that time told us that they're not going to have any money, so we can try again this year, which we tried again this year, money. So we don't have any help coming from the city, or at least from the city administrator. So it was put on our capital improvement list at about $750,000, which was approved by the county. So we do have that $750,000 available. We got an estimate based on that money. The estimate was basically on replacing what we currently have at this point. Since that time, you've got a copy, I think in your packets, you got a copy of, and I just did the sheet of the venture report, 2 pages that related to the mechanical systems and some of the issues that they found. This was from the 2025 report that Venture did. And you can kind of see that some of the areas of concern were due to HVAC, or the HVAC was just about 39 years old now. It's well past its age, but it's affected the walls, it's affected ceiling, door, windows, these are rusting, that type of thing. And then they had noted on the HVAC systems that the air handling units are beyond their anticipated life expectancy. And the big thing, so basically what, I'll kind of jump forward. So they're recommending that we do it right this time. We didn't have a dehumidification system in the pool, it was never put in there. And they don't build pools without dehumidification systems, and there's reasons why. The reason why I can go to Symons to see why with all the issues that we've got there. So they had did the project, or they had estimated the project with an upgrade. So it has a dehumidification system in the pool. So it's an upgraded system, and which would correct some of the issues that we do have there with the wall. So the wall starting to have issues, and the bad part of that is that added 1.275 million to that project. So the county, or so Trish added this on to the other capital improvement needs that were requested by department heads and looked at. And so that took basically what was a $7 million bond package to $9 million. And the same thing basically happened across the street at the community services building. They've got a $2.3 million replacement of their HVAC system that was estimated by Venture, the same company. Venture noted in this report, you can kind of see I highlighted some of the areas, but they noted the coils are experiencing excessive amount of corrosion, and they said that continue operating without issues, the components within the system which require replacement and or upgrades. And then they noted that the temperature controls serving this building are antiquated and overdue for an upgrade. Biggest risk of failure in this building is the temperature control system. It also noted exterior walls. They noted that the issue should be addressed expeditiously to mitigate the current condition of the exterior masonry from worsening. And that was caused by the insufficient HVAC and the HVAC system. So basically now we got a report in 2025 saying that it's worse than what we thought. We need to put more money than the $750,000 that we originally thought. We need to upgrade the system. Fortunately, I pushed the project up to close to $2 million for HVAC. It did go to Executive and Finance Committee 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. It has to go to Executive and Finance as part of this bond package, this $9 million bond package. They discussed it for quite a while and really focused on the Symons part of the $9 million bond. And a lot of the questions were, why isn't the city participating in this as part of their agreement? What happens if Symons is transferred to the school district or a nonprofit? County doesn't own it anymore. The county then is paying off a bond that they don't owe a facility on that might not go over real well with taxpayers. Those kind of things were kind of talked about. So there were just some kind of concerns there. We were missing 2 of their members, Executive and Finance. So they had 7 members there. So they went to vote and it failed 3-4. But they did agree because those 2 members were missing. They thought they were key members. I wish they were there. So they did vote to put it on the next agenda, which is tomorrow night. So they did have one more opportunity to get another meeting in before the next county board meeting. And from what I understand, it has to be approved in the August county board for the bond to take effect. So this is kind of their last shot at doing so. So we'll be on tomorrow night's agenda. We've shared with the Executive and Finance a little bit more information about where our numbers are at, because that was one of the other things they talked about. Because again, the whole thing comes back to mandated versus non-mandated, and the fact that we have 74,000 annual visits a year, and that we also have economic impact to the community and the area. Those were discussed. Where our members are coming from. We sent them a list of the zip codes that all of our members and all of our daily passes were coming from. So we've got about 2,000 members and another 6,000 or so annual visits. Those are people, or not annual visits, day passes. So those are people that don't have memberships like month membership or a year membership, but they're people that just come for a day, either for a day pass, and they just come in to go swimming, or they come in for 2 weeks for swim lessons, but they don't have a membership. So they're users of Symons, just not members. So there's about 8,000 to 9,000 people that are either members or daily pass users at Symons. So those are kind of some of the numbers that we were sharing with them, and as well as the zip codes where these people are coming from. So we've got, in fact, we've got our farthest away member, an actual contracted member is from Denmark, the country of Denmark. So we do have people from the country. In fact, we've got, I think, 4 people that have daily passes, 3 other people that have daily passes that are one from the UK, Scotland, I think. But anyway, so we've got some people, and then from about 20 different states, I think, except Wisconsin. So we shared all that information with them, as well as our concern that that really this has gotten to be an issue that it's well beyond a comfort issue. So when you think about HVAC, you think about, well, it's uncomfortable, we don't have air conditioning, or we don't have heat. We had, this summer, we had a couple of incident reports were written up where people, unfortunately, was kids and seniors that had slipped on, not in the pool, but in the hallway, where the floor actually sweats when it gets these hot days, just because internally, the air is out of balance and the system isn't able to keep up with that and remove some of that moisture. So not only is it affecting the ceilings, the doors, the hardware, everything like that, corroding all of that. But on these really humid days, and we've had, I don't know, what do you think, about a half dozen at least, Kyle? Yeah. We've had to put out, and we rolled out rugs. So we've got rugs down the hallway and in the lobby. But we've got, significant number of our members and visitors are over the age of 60 or 65, a lot of them using walkers, and then a lot of kids as well. And there's already chance of falls and that type of thing. So now we're getting into an issue where the county, it's not just a comfort thing, it's not just an image thing, it's something where potentially we could see some injury lawsuits. And now it's something because we've got a report on it that a professional engineer made. We're made aware of the problem here. So if we don't address it, then obviously recreational immunity doesn't apply, and we could be found liable if we don't do something. That obviously doesn't make it an easy issue yet. That can make some people say, well, that might be some people that don't necessarily support Symons as much can say, well, maybe this is a reason that we need to consider shutting down if we can't afford it. So that's a little bit of a risk of us going and saying that we are getting into a risk area here if we don't address this in some fashion. But at the same time, I would rather see the county provide a safe facility or provide no facility than provide a facility that isn't safe, that people are at risk for getting seriously injured. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with all of that. It is going to go back to executive compliance tomorrow night. Larry Engel, who did vote for it last meeting, will not be there tomorrow night. And Mark Cooey and Bob Frank, who weren't at the last meeting, will be there. So we're hoping that that there's going to be enough people at least to get it to county board, because we don't really feel that the 8 people that are there should be representing all 21 people in the county for a matter like this. It should go to full board. If full board wants to say we can't do it, that's more acceptable than having one committee that has a third of the representation on not allowing it to get to county board to consider that. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We did discuss this as well with the foundation at our foundation meeting earlier today. So in that, the other thing this does is we're being very careful. We want people to know, we want our members to know about what's going on, but at the same time, number one, we don't want them rushing up here and flooding the meeting and complaining about not being supported. But number two, we don't want to scare people and saying that, okay, this might not happen. So there's a lot of people that are thinking about updating their membership. They're not going to update their membership until they know that there's going to be assignments there. There's a lot of donors out there that are going to hold on to their investment, not knowing if we're going to have a facility there. And one of our big issues is I can't guarantee, unless our engineer here can come in and say, it is a big issue, but we don't think it's a big enough issue that you have to worry about closing, anytime in the next year. You just need to keep going forward on it. Right now, with what we've got with the report and with what we know is we're a little bit nervous in guaranteeing that we'll be open more than a month type situation if something doesn't get addressed here. There might be a different solution. But it's hard for us to go out to the community and say, right now we've got, I think about 1,200 annual members that are year-long members, 12-month members. It's hard for us to go out to them and say, we'd like to buy another 12-month membership if we can't have a reasonable assurance that we're gonna be able to safely open up again a month from now, 6 months from now, that type of thing. If we're not able to, and if the engineer says, you know, there's a danger of this wall falling down or ceiling coming down or the HVAC, doing something that's gonna cause some major injury. If we had to shut down because of that, and if we've got 1,200 annual members that the county's now got a refund, we've got, donations that we went out and got because we're being proactive right now, trying to get additional donations, additional grants. But now all of a sudden we don't have a facility that we wrote this $50,000 grant for. We got these $100,000 in donations for. That makes it very difficult for the foundation to go back and refund or figure out what to do with that money. Makes it difficult for us to go back and refund that money to the grants that we get. And then of course there's the members. So we need to kind of get a little bit more, either get some support for this or to get a little bit more direction. Okay, what do we do if this isn't going to be supported? Because we've heard that the city isn't going to support it right now. The school administrator, city administrator, county administrator, and then the mayor, county board chair, and the school board chair all met. They asked to meet without me, Kyle present, but they all met and discussed some things. And through that meeting, the school district said that they wouldn't be interested in taking over Symons, so they're out of the Symons business as of right now. So that leaves basically about city participation. That leaves the county paying for the HVAC, scoured for any grants. Brick and mortar grants are tough enough. HVAC grants are almost impossible. They're just not out there. Asking donors and doing a donor campaign for something like HVAC is almost impossible and very, very difficult. But so really that kind of comes down to what our options are there. So one thing that we did do is, so one thing that I kind of wanted you to consider, and Alan and I talked a little bit about this. We've been talking about foundations quite a bit. Yes, those.
What is that meeting tomorrow night?
Yes.
Is that something that you are asking us to try to attend? Or not?
Well, so what I'm passing out is, and I'm thinking one short, so. Okay. So basically, we're looking at some sort of a recommendation from this board as well. I know it's going to come out of executive finance, but instead of executive and finance and county board listening to us as staff, sometimes it can be difficult listening to staff because there's a list, of all the projects that department heads are asking for here. There's $2.3 million for the community services building HVAC. There's $500,000 for the highways updated HVAC. $415,000 for the highways parking lot. I don't know what to do with the parking lot, but so there's a bunch of different things here on here. And staff and department heads are asking for all these things. You guys are representing Symons, and if you guys would want to ask the county to support, I think that carries more weight than just the staff, because obviously the last meeting it didn't do a whole lot. So I kind of wrote up the sample, and it can be changed. It can be, if you're not interested in it, that's fine too. But just so that we have some formal recommendation coming out of out of this committee, if you wanted to take some formal recommendation. And maybe you don't feel that that it should come out of county, or maybe you're not ready to make that kind of a commitment, that's fine too. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to do something where it's not just reading the minutes of a meeting and seeing that, oh, this is what they said, but we're gonna give them something a little bit more formal where they can look at it, especially if executive finance for some reason doesn't allow it to get to county board. Then, I'd like you guys to have an opportunity to have a voice in that. And not have it at that degree, especially because we also have city council representatives here, and we also have members at large here. So it's not just a county, obviously it's county money, so that's kind of trumps everything, but at the same time, there might be other things to work with there. The other thing that I did, and Trish wants to meet with me after the meeting Tuesday to discuss kind of a plan B and what's gonna happen and whatever else. And I kind of shot some things to her, and what are we gonna do, not only with this, but what's gonna happen if, the county pulls out of the Symons partnership, or if the city pulls out, or if the county's not able to do it, or if the school district isn't interested, how do we get that subsidy or whatever? So we've talked about things down the road. One of the things that I kind of pitched to her on Friday night is that, well, if worse comes to worse, would the county be willing to consider not doing our annual operating budget, 50,000 contribution, same thing with the city, if we gave up that in exchange for the HVAC? I don't care about the operating costs, I can get that covered, I've always said that. I'm more concerned about $2.2 million for an HVAC unit. There's, I've talked some with the Symons Trust out of Chicago. There's some very promising news that I expect to be coming out of there. But things like HVAC, things like seeing that the community is investing in their own facilities is necessary. Otherwise, they're not going to invest in us if we can't invest in ourselves. But that's a potentially an annual large donation that will cover a good portion of that operating subsidy that we're behind. And there's other options of working with the foundation and working with donors and saying that, hey, the county and or the city or someone is funding this $2 million HVAC system, but that in addition to everything else happening with the ambulance and everything else, that puts a pressure on our budget. So we're going to need donors to step up and help cover this $100,000 deficit that we have. The other thing that I told Trish is that I'm confident enough in this that we can get grants and donations to cover this $100,000 if we get HVAC, so that I can step back my hours, even eliminate my position if I need to, and use that money to replace the operating expense. And obviously, I work with Kyle and the staff to make sure that they're not left out or whatever. But I feel strong enough in them that they would be able to continue on if I needed to do that. But I'm confident enough that see that would ever be an issue. Just from the people that I have talked to and the potential donors and grants that we have available to us to cover that. So that is an option. But again, that brings us back to this $2 million HVAC. How do we get that addressed? Because without the HVAC, I can't find $2 million donors that want to throw it into HVAC. I can't find people that want to donate, and it's hard for me to, in fact, I put a hold on the grants that I've been writing because it's hard for me to go out and write a grant if I don't know if we're going to have a facility that can safely operate in next year. So it's kind of put a hold on all of that stuff. So anyway, just kind of looking for some direction from you guys, where you want to go with it.
Can I ask a question, Dave? That $2 million that the state was supposed to come up with, have we ever gotten any of that yet?
From the campus?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're spending all that. So
Oh,
Tuition's underway out there and everything else, so that's not available.
Wasn't there 450,000 of that was earmarked for this HVAC
I
system?
believe so,
And
and plus the county set aside more from
Right.
the borrowing.
Yeah.
So that, like Mike said, that 750 is there.
Okay,
It's not enough.
Yeah.
sure.
In fact, Larry even said, it wasn't a formal thing or anything, but Larry Engel had asked if the county was able to give that 750,000 to either the foundation or someone else, would there be another group that would be able to take over Symons they get the $750,000 and they get Symons. And then they just have to figure out a way to fund the HVAC and, you know, whatever else. We don't have anyone with that capacity right now, but yeah, that money has been already approved by the county.
Seems to be pretty clear if Symons is to have a future, this needs to get done. Whether the county continues to run it or private entity runs it or whoever runs it. You can't give somebody something that's gonna need $2.5, $3 million worth of work and expect them to say, hey, thank you, that's awesome.
And
It's
that,
not gonna happen.
yeah, and Trish did bring that up at the last executive finance meeting, that, you know, the school district or anyone else isn't gonna wanna let the $2 million HVAC waiting to happen. I've talked to the YMCA state director and let them know that once the school district pulled out, I let them know that, well, if you could talk to Madison and La Crosse and see at least if that's even an option, if they're interested. But in the past, you know, Madison had said they were basically interested in the YMCA or in Symons, if they'd have the campus gym to use, which we've got an agreement with the school district, so we might be able to work that out. But in La Crosse, they weren't interested at that time. La Crosse is getting a new executive director, and their strategic plan from their board has them expanding into neighboring counties. I don't know if they're interested in coming this far down. And I don't know if Simon or if YMCA is even interested. I've heard from a lot of people that really don't like that option of losing that control. And I understand that, but it is a plan B that we want to have ready. If it's not able to get it any other way, YMCA might be the only option. But a YMCA, and I'm waiting to get a formal response from them that they won't come down here if they've got a building that has non-functioning HVAC system. And
That was the point I was making. It doesn't matter what your plan B, C, or D is. If this doesn't get done.
And that's, yeah, and that's what happened with the campus buildings where, you know, they're not that old, but they weren't that old, 50, almost 60 years old, so that's not very old. And a lot of people like the buildings, but there's nothing that the county could do with them because they were, Spencer went through and there were millions of dollars of repairs that needed to be done there, so no one was able to come in there, and there was a little bit of interest for the Copper Dot Building or the Student Center or whatever.
Yeah, the copper top.
Yeah, but it
But
wasn't.
the reality was.
Yeah.
Nobody can
Yeah.
afford it.
no.
Yeah, no one could afford it, and it just.
Once the plumbing was all fried and the
Yeah.
electrical system's out of date. It would have been much cheaper to tear it down and build something new than to try to renovate that and bring it up to code and make it useful today,
Right.
which is really sad, but true.
That's the reality of the situation.
So had the campus still been open, we would have been faced with millions of dollars of repairing those classroom buildings along with the UW. They probably would have partnered in it, but we would have been struggling with that in addition to Simon, all the other buildings and the jail that we need to build in 5 or 6 years or whatever that's gonna be. So yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, but yeah, like you say, it's something that's gotta be done. So I don't know how you guys want to proceed. If, in addition to, so I don't know if you guys from the city, we haven't, I don't think we've seen it on any minutes, but we've been told by Ashley that the city's not able to do it. So we don't know if you guys have even had an opportunity to look at HVAC or to partner in HVAC, or if the money's just not there, and if you guys have discussed that.
Well, we have not discussed the HVAC. But we did discuss that, when the next agreement would come up, that, we would look at having a fixed amount of money rather than just sharing it half and half. 'Cause I know that I made the motion. However, I have kind of a question. Over in the city, we're doing, I think, something similar to what the county's doing, pulling our capital improvements out of the budget and putting them into loans or bonds or whatever thing. And I think that's what the county's doing here. So, that's what the $2 million is that you've asked of the county, right? It would be through a bond.
Well, there's,
It's actually 9 million total, but
It's for a 9 million for them, but you would be 200. I
Well,
mean, you'd be 2 million.
well, there's 450,000 is being used out of the $2 million grant from the state.
Right,
And then the county's already set aside another 300,000, which is earmarked for that. And so the balance between the 750 and the 2 million would be borrowed money.
And this-
Right, and my question is, the city would have to go and do borrowed money,
Mhm.
but it's almost impossible to do borrowed money on an entity that we don't really own.
Yeah.
Whereas the county can do the borrowed money because the asset is in their world. And we're not borrowing money for operations, we're borrowing money for our capital
Right,
assets. And
Right.
improvements. So logically, the borrowing piece belongs over with the county. You're just trying to get the borrowed amount reduced.
Well, so the list that you have there, that's $9 million in bonds that all of the county projects, includes all the county projects. Ours is 1.275. It's on the bottom, the Symons HVAC. So we're looking for 1.275 of the 9 million
Okay,
bond.
But does that get you the dehumidifying system or is that
Yeah.
just?
Yeah, that along with the 750,000 that's already been approved, so it's almost $2 million.
right. So the 9 million, yeah, okay, perfect. That answers that. I guess it would be up to negotiations if the city's portion would end up going towards the HVAC. And you or somebody else or foundation or donors would have to pick up the 50. I'm just gonna throw 50,000 around, because that's what it was. 50,000, but that still doesn't get you your, what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
See, we're really talking for the county, $1.2 million, right?
Yes, there's 1.275.
For the
On top of
Symons.
what we've already set aside.
On top. Well, maybe that's not as bad.
Yeah, and I don't know, I know the foundation had asked, a couple foundation members had asked, and I asked Trish if she could ask the whoever financial. Bonds or whatever, if they could kind of give us numbers. I don't even know how long this bond is, so I don't know as far as the taxpayer, what's that gonna cost me? And I'd be interested to know what does it cost me as a taxpayer for this extra money for the bond or whatever,
I asked Trish that question, Dave, was that's gonna add 10 cents on the mill rate.
10 cents on the mill rate?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got filings that cost property taxpayers, county taxpayers, $6.30. Annual other taxes per 250,000 valuation. On the city side, about $28, 250,000 valuation, and then 10 cents on the dollar, or 10 cents for
On the mill rate.
on the mill rate, or the HVAC, or.
Well,
how many years?
that's for the entire,
That's the entire.
that's the entire package.
Entire 9 million.
The entire 9 million.
Did you say how
Oh, well,
many years?
then you have to tease out what the Symons portion.
Right, I mean, that's
So
a math thing, you know,
Right.
but yeah,
it's 10 cents for about 9 million, and we're looking at.
a penny.
A penny.
It's a ballpark, it's a penny.
So we should go to the meeting tomorrow night and pitch pennies at them?
Set down a penny and say, here you go. I don't know,
Better
I mean,
than
it's-
pitchforks.
But it's, you know, how many years that this bond, did you say, or? is it-
I didn't ask, my guess is for equipment, it's either a 7 or 10-year bond issue, would be my guess.
Okay, so and hopefully she's gonna bring that, I assume she's gonna bring that to meetings.
I would
We
imagine.
discussed that.
She said it was presented 2 meetings ago by, who's the finance lady?
Taylor?
Not Ayers, it's, what's her name? She got dark hair.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Carol.
Carol Worth. Yeah. Yeah, Carol Worth presented it like 2 meetings ago.
That certainly helps knowing.
So, Mike, can I share my stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
You pass that on. So I was, this speaks to your point, Rachel. I did a little poking, I didn't even think about the fact that city might not be able to borrow money for an asset they don't know, but I went through, pulled all the most recent audited financial statements for a number of communities. Richland Center, right as of December 31st, at the bottom of the first page, Richland Center is using 21% of their borrowed capacity. You know, if you go to the next page, Reedsburg is using 86% of their borrowed capacity. Roqua is using 51%, and Hillsborough is using 41%. And all of the notes that the city of Richland Center have, or all the bonds, will all be paid off by 2038. I mean, that's as of this schedule. So to me, Richland, the city has a lot of capacity for borrowing, and I haven't, I know like the county's looking at a jail, and that's gonna take a big chunk of money, and I get that. But, and I try to pay attention to what's going on in both the city and the county, and I haven't heard of any big projects like that coming up in the city.
No, the city is just dipping their toe into this.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
they spent up until this last year trying not to do the borrowing, and it was a big discussion. I don't know, Steve, if you were there, it was at one of our budget meetings. And we know that there's more room for capacity, but instead of like jumping in and doing 80% or
Yeah, no,
whatever
yeah.
of our capacity, this is our first rush at it.
Yep, no, that's fine. You know, and I look at like these other communities, Hillsborough, Reedsburg.
Yep.
And I look at them and I see and I don't know what exactly the money was borrowed for, but I see communities that have clearly invested in their communities and they're growing. And to me, this Symons, investing money in Symons would be good for this community. And if there's any way the city can figure out how to do that to help the county out, it'd be great, for the entire community. And, if you guys, could bring this up as an agenda item at one of your future council meetings, just to discuss, it may or may not be an option, I don't know. But there's certainly the borrowing capacity there.
Yes.
To do say 800 or, because if there's $450,000 from the grant, then take the balance of that, which would be 1.7 million divided by 2. And, split that equally between the city and county, or whatever the administrators come up with for a way to divide that up. Maybe the city can help out some there. And then what that would do would be to position Symons for a sustainable future, because my hunch is eventually it's going to go to some other entity, whether that's a nonprofit like the YMCA, whether it's a foundation, I don't know, but it would make it more desirable to take over for somebody. And the community would benefit from it. And when I say community, I mean both the city and the county.
I think your point is well taken, that some communities are investing more in or some governments are investing more in their communities. But if I were sitting on the city council at Reedsburg, I'd be sweating, because 86% is really a lot.
That's a lot.
But I've wondered for some time now why the city reneged on its agreement. I was on the city council in 1987 when Symons was built, and I was on the first Symons board. Co-chaired it with, can't say his name now, from Ag Bridge.
Oh, Durban Mary?
Not Durban.
Merlin Mary.
And the agreement was 50-50. The city and, but it was not. We didn't have the construction to pay for it because that was donated. So it was simple maintenance and operation, I guess, until everything got rolling. But I really feel bad that the city has dropped out of their 50-50 support. And I think if we had that, we'd be a long way toward some more success.
Well, judging from some of the comments on city council, you should actually be happy that we still are involved because they wanted to drop out, period.
Well, they don't probably know the history of it, but
And what was told to me is that there is a growing agitation that city residents feel that they're having to pay twice for the Symons Center. Pay through their city property taxes and their county property, the county portion of the property.
well, do they feel that way about the sheriff's department?
I don't know, I'm just telling you the arguments. I'm not saying that's my argument.
If you look
That's why I had actually made a motion instead of just dropping out, because that's what they were ready to do. That we would put together some sort of agreement that if we had to, it would be phased out. Otherwise, it was gonna be like a zero. Which would even be worse.
got
Yeah, no, it's a good point. We could, I mean, I've dealt with resident, non-resident fees for so many years with, the city has a swimming pool. They're paying all the taxes and everything on it, and people outside of the city get to use the pool. Their taxes don't go towards it. They pay a higher rate on non-resident fee. And they complain about that non-resident fee, but they're not contributing taxes towards that. That's happening in every community. And that's one thing that we could look at here if the city is that interested in getting more of a balanced tax here. We could, we could look at doing a discount for city residents, city taxpayers, because they're paying twice. If people are complaining about that, well, maybe we can work out a 10% discount on their membership or something like that. That kind of addresses that. So,
But those same people are paying twice when they go to the city.
Yeah.
Cause they got paid to get in there too. So,
They're paying a resident price at the city.
what's that?
They're paying a resident price at the city.
Yeah.
For city residents.
Yeah, yes, I think the city has non-resident price for non-city residents, correct?
At the outdoor
At
pool,
the aquatic center.
yes,
Yeah.
we've got a,
Yeah, and that's one, I mean, I've always been in support more of district park and recreation departments and
Yeah.
things through this, that's why I kind of preferred this through the school district, because then you got a larger population and it's more people that are really within a driving distance of Symons, even more so than the county. But you've got a larger population than the city, because having the city pay for the entire Symons, obviously that's $28 per $250,000 for $50,000. If they're doing a full $100,000, it would be, or well, right now, the city residents paying both city, I'm paying both city and county portions, so that's that $28 plus the $6, so I'm paying $34, which is $6. And I'd pay that regardless. I don't really use Symons a lot, but I believe it's an important enough facility that other people use it, that I'm more than happy, especially the $6 part. Yeah, I have no problem doing that.
I think we have to think about it. That pool up here is only open, 3 months out of the year? And we're looking at another 9 months, over and above that, to go swimming in Richland Center. And whether they're paying twice or whatever, what they're paying is not going to be any different if they have a year of it rather than a few months.
And Baraboo had these same discussions from time to time. I know Richland Center has too, with an indoor pool versus an outdoor pool, and that argument kind of goes about, always comes about. And, and I think the city reported some 9,000 or something visits last year for the outdoor pool. We got 74 for the indoor pool. It's, I think, $150,000 subsidized for the outdoor pool and $100,000 subsidized for the indoor pool. So obviously, those numbers work more in Simon's favor, but we don't really want people to be arguing why this, why that, or whatever. And obviously the outdoor pool still is, city's gonna be paying that off for years yet, so.
well, the city's losing money on that. There's
Exactly.
like $150,000 a year loss.
Yeah, and it's years, but that be paid off too.
Well, I know you've got a big support group out in around the Viola area and in this way of women, because I've gotten approached many times about, what are you doing about that campus? You aren't letting that go, are you? Well, I don't know, it's not something we can I just know there's a support group.
But yeah, and that's the other attractive thing about Symons is hopefully it's going to draw more development to the campus property because that's attractive for a housing developer. Right there, that we got Symons right there and a gym right there and the school right there. It's a very attractive place to build a lot of things, so.
As far as what we can do about anything tonight, it would seem that putting together the statement of support to get to executive finance for tomorrow night would be what we can do from here for now. Certainly talk to members of executive finance or whatever, but do we want to connect on that?
The next city council meeting is August 18th because it got postponed.
Same night as the county board.
Oh, that's this, okay.
Yeah. Great planning.
Well, it got postponed from National Night Out.
Yeah, no, that's.
So would you try and have an agenda item at that meeting?
Well,
Or bring it up as a future agenda? item?
I will see if we can have it as an agenda item. I'll call tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
And if I can't, then yes, I make a report,
Mhm.
you know, at
At the regular meeting, at that,
at the regular meeting.
and ask for it to be an
And
agenda
ask for
at a
it.
future.
Yes.
Sure.
So if you guys want a statement to go out, do you want something like this? Do you want any changes to this? Do you want to come up with something? totally
Yes, if you
different?
could have a statement like this, because then, perhaps this can be if I can get it as an agenda item at the August 18th. So I'm not real clear on how the county operates. If they vote no, not to send it out to the county, then it's dead, right?
Executive and finance votes know that there are paths for other members to try to force it to the full board, but it's more difficult.
So do I have to wait until tomorrow night to know?
By tomorrow night, we should know what happens.
So I should wait, tomorrow night is Tuesday, wait till
Tomorrow's
Wednesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
Wait till Wednesday.
But I think if the city still had it on their agenda and discussed it.
Yeah.
Then even regardless of what happens with the county, if the county does pass it, well, that still might be an opportunity to partner with them or not, you know, or whatever, or look at other
Okay.
options. And if they don't, then that might be another opportunity for the city to, well, maybe foundation, maybe the hospital, maybe other places will kick in and, you know, somehow we'll get HVAC.
So the way I understand it is that the agenda is put together between Ashley and the mayor. And if it doesn't appear, then I have the second option, which is during the report time.
Yes.
But if I could have a document, it would be helpful.
Anybody have any problems with what Mike put together here? As a committee, we could pass this and send it on to executive finance in support of the request.
We need it now, therefore.
Yeah. Now therefore be it resolved, do this.
You can do that if you want. I can make it in resolution form if you want.
Now, I don't know if resolution
No,
is necessary,
I don't think so.
but we could go on record voting to approve this and asking you to forward it to them. At the committee meeting tomorrow night.
I make that motion.
I'd second that.
Okay, we got a motion to second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So this document did not have any changes.
Nope.
All right, so I can, I'll
What time is
You
it?
can use that.
trundle down there tomorrow. and
Okay.
Take care of it.
Yes.
And this that you gave me, is this public information or is this still just within county? This. Like.
It's sitting on
the-
this table, that makes it public.
Okay.
Can't hide it now.
So the whole thing is 88 cents.
I thought Trish just told me 10.
Oh, 10. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
10.
10 cents per,
For
to
this.
add on to
So-
the mill rate.
So we would just be.
That's how I understand it.
Yep.
You know,
Okay, item 10, bids for architectural services.
So this we're gonna have to postpone, but I will just update real quick. So in your packets, you had the 3 bids. So the executive committee from the foundation met a couple of weeks ago and decided that they would fund, or they would donate up to $20,000 to pay for conceptual plans to be done for renovations of Symons without an addition, but that would renovate, update everything, the locker rooms, add new family locker rooms, big lobby area, basically update everything as needed. We expect that those costs to be right around $1 million or so, but. So we went out to nine companies, asked them if they could get us something by October, because that's the fall fundraiser coming up. And we got these 3 bids back that were in your packet. They were all under $20,000. So the foundation talked today, and because of the status of HVAC and things kind of up in the area, they decided to hold it off for another month to see what happens. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to invest money in renovations now until we know that we've got the infrastructure taken care of. So we'll bring this back eventually at the next meeting, depending what happens at HVAC, depending what happens with foundation, as long as they're willing to continue to do this. But when we do look at this renovation, we're also looking at the entirety of it being raised through grants and donations. So any improvements we're looking at doing, in addition to the architectural plans, which foundation has supported already. So this will be coming to a future meeting.
Great, item 11, upcoming events.
All right, so upcoming, one of the next ones, Pumpkin Fest is the last weekend in October, and Kyle and I have been working on the Pumpkin Fest 5K, 10K walk again. Along with that, reason this is on the agenda is we want to have our open house again that weekend, Saturday and Sunday during that weekend. We'd like to do free admission again, like we did the last 2 years. Allows people to come in and tour the facility and get free use of the pool and everything for the weekend, part of our Pumpkin Fest celebration weekend. We usually have open door prizes and other things that we give away and stuff. So we just need action if you guys are willing to allow us to have free admission on open house weekend, the last weekend in October.
Which Halloween is right on that Saturday.
So yeah, Halloween is, I think, 31st, I think, is a Saturday, correct?
Yep.
This is actually the week before, so it'll be the 24th and 25th. The full
Oh,
weekend,
okay.
so 24th and 25th. Is when Pumpkin Fest is in town here. In fact, that Friday night is the Parks and Rec trunk or treat, or whatever they call it, the park, treats in the park, or whatever it is. So that's part of Pumpkin Fest this year as well. So that would be our open house weekend.
To approve the free admission for that week.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Pumpkin Fest activities. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Was carried.
Okay, and then on that weekend, we're also kicking around, and we haven't formalized this yet. But the Marty Brewer Nature Trail, we've talked a little bit about that in the past. Wanting to get a dedication for that. It's been, the county's named it after Marty Brewer, but we haven't done a formal ribbon cutting dedication or anything for the public. We did get this $25,000 grant from the DNR to do signage there. We have received about $15,000 of the $25,000 so far. So we have $15,000, which is enough to get us the first phase of signs built, done and everything. John provided, you saw this at a previous meeting, some of the wording for the interpretive signs. So we'll have maps along the trail, professionally made maps, along with interpretive signs, for example, invasive species, you know, or this is what a maple looks like, whatever. But we'll have all of those interpretive things. So it'll be an educational trail along the trail. We're looking at, we're kind of trying to find the location of the Brewer family, because I understand they moved out of the area, but we want to get, first of all, we'd like to get them involved. We'd like to have them there and everything, but we'd also like to have them give us permission to use Marty's picture and some words about his service to the community that we have on the trailhead sign. So we're kind of working on trying to find that, and once we do that, we're hoping to get all this done and have signs done where we can do that the same weekend as Pumpkin Fest, where we can have the dedication of the trail. And then we've talked to the new owners of the new golf cart place or whatever, who are also members of Symons, but they've offered to donate use of their golf cart. So what we're thinking about doing is having a golf cart there available for people that can't walk up the hill. Maybe it's too far for them to walk, or the hill's a little hard to get up there with a walker or whatever, to be able to provide rides during the weekend to go up the trail. So people that normally don't get up there can get up the trail through riding the golf cart. and being able to see it with the signage hopefully installed by them. So that's one other thing that we're also looking at doing yet, but we're still working on the Brewer family. So just gonna let you know where that's at. So that's something we talked about. That is moving forward. And again, we did get 12,500 as an upfront payment from the state. And then we had another 5,500 in local donations so far that we've got that allows us to get phase one of the signage done. So that's all I got for that.
Item 12, discuss and consider alternative revenue sources.
All right, so part of our plan was to also put benches along the Marty Brewer Nature Trail. One thing that I kind of looked at was, so we had a memorial bench donation project or program along the Riverwalk in Baraboo. We charged like $1,500 for these nice 6-foot recycled wood benches, and then they've got plaques on them, and it's very popular. We had more demand than what we could had spaces for, so we get too many benches close to each other. But so that's an option that if you guys want to look at, this is another way to raise money for the trail. So we can sell these benches, and it's not a lot of space up there, so it might only be 5 or 7 benches might be all that we'll be looking at. But rather than use the grant money to buy that, or rather than using other money to buy that, this can be another area where we can say, okay, so it's going to be with freight, it'll be a little under $2,000 for these benches. We can go with a smaller bench too, or not as nice bench, but these are really nice benches. They have really nice plaques in them, kind of bronze plaques in them and everything. Really attractive, and I think we could get donors to pay $2,000 if they get a permanent bench site there. So one thing I kind of wanted to throw out, if you guys are interested in that, I can come up next meeting. I can kind of bring you some samples of what they look like and everything. If that's something you want to put out to the community as a possible sponsorship for the trails. Necessarily need a motion, but just kind of looking for some feedback.
So are they $2,000 a bench?
Yeah, so yeah, they're expensive benches, but the bench actually costs, and I just talked to our supplier for this company, $1,455 for the bench and a plaque, plus freight. Freight depends on how many benches you actually order.
And then do they get affixed to the ground so they don't?
Yep,
Can
they're
be
permanent
taken.
in the ground. They're very durable. I'll bring some pictures of the next one, but they're really nice benches, and we can go with a lower grade bench if we wanted to, but I think for $2,000, I think that's most people would go for it. This is a really strong
Approach individuals or even company sponsorships in town.
yeah, exactly. And if we didn't get enough interest, we could always go back to a lower cost bench and then go back to the community that way. But I don't think we'd have any problem getting 2,000, even 2,500 people wanting to spend that. I can bring that to the next meeting if you guys think that's good. The other thing is, and I think I passed that out. I think, does everyone have a copy? Otherwise, it might have been in your package too. The corporate sponsorship program. Pass that out tonight. Does everyone have a copy of that? It's the blue sheet. So I've been kind of kicking around ideas. This is just a draft. But what we do is, once we got this, it would be more of a brochure type format. Something that we would take to larger businesses in the area, Foremost, Cardinal, et cetera, Schreiber, and even the hospital and other places where we can use them to help us promote membership. So there's a couple of different ways to do it, and I just kind of threw out a general, this isn't necessarily recommendation or anything, but I just kind of threw out where if we did, we don't have to, but we could do a discount ourselves as well. We give that corporation a discount if they have, so many employees, then that way the employer paid the full, you can see the gold plan or whatever. The employer pays the entire membership. We'll give them a discount. We could give them a discount, but we don't have to. And then the employer pays the full discount. That's a benefit for the employee that works there. So if Schreiber, if Cardinal, they're going after employees and they're having a hard time finding employees, this is another benefit. They can say, hey, you get a free health club membership or a free fitness club or a free recreation complex membership at Symons. And, it costs them for an individual $400 per year. That might be a good investment for them. If we gave them a discount to do that, it might make it more attractive. Or there's an option where, maybe some employers might want to share that cost, and that's for the silver plan. Okay, employer pays 50%, employee pays 50%. So this is just kind of the first kind of run at things. So I just kind of wanted to share it with you guys and how we can kind of promote getting more corporations, larger businesses involved in the area and driving more membership. And of course, helping them or having them help us promote memberships to Symons. So we have one place to go to, for example, we go to the front office at Cardinal and we say, "I'd like to work with you on this," and then they go to their employees and then they show, I don't know how many employees are at Cardinal or Schreiber or wherever, but a few hundred employees, and they throw this out, and we get 10%, we can get, 10, 20, maybe 30 new members that we didn't have before, and that's new money for us. Wanted to find out, number one, are you guys interested in something like this format? Number two, would you want to do a discount for corporate partners, or is that some kind of conflict or something you're not really interested in doing at this point?
I think we used to do this. We used to have a discount through with the school district
Hey, Symons?
many years ago.
Maybe even looking at scaling the discount if they are interested in buying bigger chunks of memberships, if they business wants to have all their employees that they'll pay for, then okay, we'll give you this rate.
Okay, so if you get like over a certain amount of.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do 100 of them, well, okay, the discount gets bigger.
Okay,
The only downside I could potentially see is some of those may be people that already have memberships, so you might shrink one piece of your revenue, but you're gonna gain more.
yeah, and hopefully this would not only bring more members in, but would set up a more of a partnership between us, between Symons and between these businesses. So when we do have something like the family locker rooms or foundations doing a major improvement project, then we can go and then, Schreiber can say, hey, we're corporate partners. We're a little bit more willing to do a $5,000 donation or something. In addition,
You could offer like, we'll have a Schreiber night.
Yep, yeah, exactly. That's one of the things in here too. I think we put somewhere under here where we could do something fun, Kyle and I could kick around some ideas, but if there's 5 or 6 corporations that are involved in this, where we could do some kind of corporate competitions or whatever for like weight loss, weightlifting, fitness competitions, and say, okay, Schreiber against Foremost and whatever else. Make it fun for them or
Oh,
whatever.
man.
Yeah, it's easy to contest. Yeah, so there's a lot we can do with this. But yeah, I can continue to work on it a little bit, but yeah, I can work on some kind of different levels. Does anyone see any problems with doing a discount for corporations if they're bringing in X amount of people or?
The only question I have is what Dave kind of alluded to. What do you do with if the individual already is a member?
Yep. And so right now, for example, Rockwell has agreements with all of the local, not just us, but Fitness 14 and Anytime Fitness. But Rockwell pays $100 of their employees' membership. So a member comes in, they give us this card from the Rockwell office, and it has their badge number on it, whatever, it confirms that they're an employee there. We charge them the rate minus $100. So they pay the rate minus $100. Then we send that card and an invoice into Rockwell, and then they pay us $100 for each member that we have that way. So we do have with Rockwell, we've got not a whole lot, but maybe a half dozen, if that. Probably not even a half dozen. So there's not.
The hospital should get.
The hospital, we've been trying to work out a partnership with the hospital again, and they got some new people in the office, and we just haven't really connected with them yet, as well as I wanted to, but yeah, we just, other than, the other one is Strang's pays their full membership right now. Strang's is obviously a smaller business, but for their employees, they pay full memberships, and I think they've got maybe 3 or 4 right now that are active that use it. So they're a little bit smaller, but but that would be one that we'd have to look at. Are we limiting this to over 100 employees or over 50 employees or whatever it might be? Are we letting, the Main Street business be involved in this if they only have, 3 employees? We probably need to set some parameters and saying, we want to limit this because then it could be an individual that has it's a real estate broker or something. They say, hey, can I get this discount for myself? So yeah, we probably have.
But you could maybe do a Chamber of Commerce discount for those smaller ones. If you're like a member of the Chamber of Commerce, then
Could do
you're.
that too. That's a good idea. Yeah. So yeah,
Or whatever it's called. It's not called
yep.
Chamber Main Street. or-
Chamber Main Street, yeah,
Good idea.
for the smaller ones.
You guys have sponsors for the banners on the lanes, right?
Swim team gets banner sponsors, so
They,
there's 12.
they take care of that.
They take care of that. They get the revenue from that. So there are 12 banners up there on each of the lanes. I forget what do you remember what they charge, $1,000 a year or something, or Dee? You remember?
They're 500 unless they're a brand new one, because then they have to make a banner. They're 750.
Which is very cheap advertising for the amount of people, 74,000 people coming through, seeing that advertising every year. That's very, very cheap advertising compared to like a radio one.
Have you thought about, getting sponsorship for the swim team? Like, when,
Corporate sponsor?
yeah, like a corporate sponsor years ago, one of the biggest feeders into the Olympic training thing was the Pepsi Marlins
Really?
out of Cincinnati, I think it was.
Okay.
And so Pepsi obviously has way more money than anybody here,
Yeah.
thanks. My drinking Diet Pepsi. They, that was a big deal, and of course, they were all outfitted with warm-ups and things that said Pepsi on them.
With Pepsi, well, that's a good logo.
Have been in communities that have been resistant to doing sponsorships in parks and public places like that. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Obviously, we need money, and corporate money is good, but it also, some people kind of frown on that when it's in a park or even a school. Seeing a Pepsi logo or something like that. And so I don't know how you guys feel about that. If, they're
That might involve city and county input too.
I think the city has some policies on that, or maybe they were talking about some policies on that. But it's the same thing over there. There's not enough money, so are you gonna start to relinquish some of your scruples and go for some of the big money?
Money, schools.
You know,
Age-old argument.
we can refine this a little bit, incorporate some of those ideas with Chamber Main Street, with some different levels. And bring something back too. And if you guys have any ideas in the meantime, go ahead and send them to us. We'll refine this, and hopefully we'd like to get this ready to go in 2027 right away. So keep working on it.
Okay, any member comments?
One question. And I haven't been on the committee that long, so. Has the campus foundation been approached for any kind of funding? Like
oh, the regular campus foundation.
regular campus foundation? I mean, it seemed like a natural there. This is campus.
Probably not formally. I mean, I would say there's been some conversations, but not a formal request.
Yeah, we
Seems like,
I don't think donating to Symons fits within their bylaws that got set up.
we've talked to them a little bit. We have talked to them a little bit about doing something now that campus and the dorms aren't here anymore or whatever. They've and again informally, they did tell us that their mission or whatever is that they're doing education-based programs. Like they gave us $3,000 for the signage at the Marty Brewer Trails. They donated towards that. And their question was, is this gonna be educational signage? Because we don't pay for anything unless it's educational. And we won't do more than $3,000 donation. So as of right now, at least informally, they won't do more to support. But I think that is something that we need to continue pushing for, because they do have, I think like Kyle said, what do they have, like 5 million or something like that? Or someone told me they have something like 5 million in their endowment. But they are doing more community education type things. They are, according to their board, they are fixing up the smart farm a little bit more now. And they are looking at bringing back Campus for Kids next year. So that's kind of what their goals are right now.
Well, learning to swim is very educational.
Exactly. Yep, we do have a few grants out to continue that. We do have enough money in our grant program to continue that. Kyle's working, gonna be working on that again with the school district, continue those free lessons. So we do have that, we do have money for another year, but we do have some more grants out to continue that beyond next year as well, so. But yeah, I agree, the campus foundation's a good one for that.
Can't learn how to swim without a pool.
Exactly. And with other, yeah, and with other instructors too.
Yeah.
Kyle's the only
And
instructor in
that
the
I
area.
can hear.
Any future agenda items? All right, a motion for adjournment? Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I.
Five o'clock. Yes, in this room.
And that's open to the public.
Yes.